Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, and where we talk about innovation and education. We have a special guest, Dr. Mike Dominguez from Stratford ISD. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And definitely Stratford ISD is excited to be on the podcast. Number one, we're about 580 as far as students, but we're north of Amarillo, about 85 miles, rural West Texas, and we're just trying to innovate, give the students some mentorship and internship possibilities that can continue on their pathway.
Well, that's right up our alley. So you're in the Panhandle, give or take?
Yes, absolutely, Panhandle.
Okay. What's the weather like there, Mike? I'm scared to ask. Is it
It's cold today, and Wednesday and Thursday is going to be brutal and snow both Wednesday and Thursday. So, but yeah, I mean, the reality of it is it's a pheasant capital of the world, supposedly.
Are you a hunter? I got to ask you.
Yes, I am. And then the next part is we're about 20 miles from the Oklahoma border. So you can see New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma from actually our backyard. So it's absolutely perfect.
Very cool. So we were talking a little bit off air about some cool things you got going on. So I hear you're starting up a PTech.
PTech Model.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. The PTech Model for us is going to, what kind of new jobs and careers are you going to have? But the reality of it is, going back to the CTE model, you're saying what problems are you going to solve?
Sure.
Not what are you going to do for a living or where you're going to school, but what problems are you going to solve? So we're trying to give them the real world, the project-based, get definitely mentorship and internships, because we always struggle with, these kids.
Sure.
Traditionally, they don't have the work ethic, they don't have family support, but if you don't teach them and give them, number one, the data.
Sure.
But the emotion behind it, and then the pathway, that you're really doing a disservice to your community and more importantly to our kids, because once they leave us at 18, science says they're going to live 70 more years as a man and longer as a woman, but I mean, they get to be 70 years with the skills or certs or degrees that we help them, get on the path for.
Now, no doubt, you bring up a great point. We were talking with my last guest about, what's our responsibility to our kids, and I've got kids, and you think about, all right, what do I want them to leave high school with, right? And, I don't know how you feel, but I'm one that believes I love college. Went to college, had a great time in college, spent 4, maybe 5 years in undergrad, if I'm being honest, but I don't necessarily believe that college is the path for everybody. I think there's some great trades, some great skills. I think there's a high demand I don't think people care as much about, hey, you have a college degree, so that qualifies you. I think industry is, hey, can you do this and can you do it well? And are you teachable, trainable, coachable? And if you are, we'll hire you. And is that kind of what you're seeing in your neck of the woods?
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And when I came through, just the same thing. If you're going to break the cycle of poverty, you have to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get those higher level degrees. And, I do have a master's. I do have an EdD, doctorate of education of leadership. But I don't necessarily know that that's the path for everyone anymore.
Right.
Because with the certifications, that I can go and make not a livable wage, but I mean a really
nice wage
career.
Yes. I
mean, for myself, and I'm really big on don't take on the student debt.
Yes. No
because
doubt.
I did take on debt as a student, and I have 3 children personally. They did really well. They all have bachelor's degrees. I do not see anybody going, further academically, but it is their trade. They really are working and growing on the job, so they don't have to have the traditional, master's, doctorate like I thought I had to,
right.
And this is 20, 30, 40 years ago, to have a great career, great life, great funding, and support your family. And that can be done, like I say, on the PTech model or the CTE, the sequencing of courses. You can give so much to your students when they're young. You definitely have to have those showcases when they're in 2nd to 5th grade and 6th to 8th, and show them what's out there. And really, it is shepherding, but lead them in the direction that what they're passionate about, what's their goals, what's their plan. Is this your dream? I don't know.
Right.
And then what jobs are really going to be there, we don't know in 30, 40, 50 years, because the progression of it is just so fast that we really don't know what is going to be there for our kids. So we just need to get them ready to learn and what does happen.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. So we talked, you're a sports fan. Y'all just won a state championship?
State championship in football, 2A, the small class, Stratford Elks. This is our fourth title in 21 years.
Nice.
So we're very successful at that, and it's a great community, great town.
Fantastic. And so you're a former wrestler?
I wrestled for a long time, yes, sir. Now I'm actually from Oklahoma.
Okay.
So
I won't hold that against you.
That's right. Don't hold it against me. But if you're a boy child in Oklahoma, you have to wrestle, or if not, you have to move out of the state. So there you go.
Is that what it's like?
That's the rule. So I did it for a long time, coached it for a long time at the highest levels, competition and coached. So, actually in the Texas Wrestling Hall of Honor. It's called the Hall of Honor, not the Hall of Fame. But yeah, as a leader and as a coach. But so it worked out for me, and it's definitely helped me to once again those 10,000 hours of mastery of work and enjoy the grind that really does come with, once again, what is your goals, what's your path, what obstacles are you going to have, and a lot of times you don't know, but what supports do I really need to fulfill my goals. So that all helps, and that is all a component of what wrestling did for me.
So I always ask the question to the wrestling coaches, how come I can't use full Nelson? Like, I've tried to use that on colleagues, on
That's right.
Maybe.
That's right. You know what? I would say, the truth is that, might hurt their neck.
Okay.
But other than that,
I probably should stop doing that.
That's right. That's right.
So I shouldn't be jumping off my couch with the elbow either.
You should try to do that appropriately, but just when required, just when needed. So there you go.
Yeah, I know very little about wrestling, and when I was a high school principal, we started a wrestling program at North Forest High School. We had never had one, and man, my kids did awesome, but I knew absolutely nothing. So they'd come off the mat, and it's like, why didn't you just give them the arm bar, the arm bar, like the flip, and like, hey, Doc, we can't do that. I'm like, oh, my bad, I didn't know. So there's a lot I had to learn. I was thinking wrestling, not
with an R, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So let me ask you this then. Do you watch any of the mixed martial arts stuff, or?
You know what? I do. Not
you
not a
look
lot.
at him and you're like, hey, wrestler would kick that guy's butt.
Yeah. Well, so once again, some of the most successful ones are wrestlers.
Yes.
That Usman actually.
Yes.
One of my former wrestlers beat him in his senior year of state. So he finished third, and our kid from Hereford, I was in Hereford in those days, finished second. So Usman is one of those guys, but there's very little. There's not I guess there is, but there's not a professional league for wrestling, and that's
right.
Some of those individuals have to go to that, and the physicality that it takes. That they do have the 10,000 hours in. So
no doubt,
you do watch that. Number one, because you know them. Number two, that is to some degree some of their only outlets if they're going to stay in the athletic pathway.
So you said you grew up in Oklahoma, and we're going to forgive you. Got to Texas at some point.
That's right.
What did you envision for yourself, like as you're growing up? I always find it interesting, like where we end up, as school leaders versus where we thought we would be. Where did you think you were going to be doing at this stage in your life when you were a kid or an adolescent?
Right. Well, I when I finished my ED, my doctorate, I did some reflection, like a 6-year-old Mike, what would he have thought?
Sure.
And lost my mother when I was really young, youngest of 10, very different upbringing than most people. So, 6-year-old Mike would never thought be superintendent of a school, leading a district and all that. So I feel very proud, I do attribute it to everybody, my teachers and coaches that really did put a lot into me. We, as educators, we know the mother is the first teacher of the child, and on the literacy coaches would be saying that also, so the reality, you can continue to move on. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be doing this. I did not know what I would be doing, but once again, that's why you have to have those conversations with your child. what's your passion? What do you want to do from, very early age all the way up, so they can kind of formulate that. So no, but I'm very excited. My wife and I, we have 3 children. They're very successful. We pushed them really hard. So, it's just one of those. They're very successful. Went to, like say, college.
Are they wrestlers? Did they wrestle?
The sons did. Actually, my daughter wrestled. She blew her knee out twice. She wrestled for, and, one of her roommates, or not roommate, but a colleague, and big time school, East Coast. And she goes, "Oh, you wrestled in high school?" And my daughter said, "Yes." And she goes, "Well, I did it as a protest." And my daughter said, "Well, my father was the head wrestling coach, so there was no protesting going on." But so then my sons wrestled, and they did real well for Coppell High School. So yeah.
Oh, cool, very cool.
So North Dallas. So.
Yeah. So did you drag the mat out in the? I mean, how did y'all? Surely, Dad being the coach, my kids play basketball. I was a former basketball coach, played at college basketball, so they get the good and the bad with that, right? So
right.
How were you dad coaching them, or how'd it go?
Well, so I did not coach my sons, and my wife and I, had it then, and even now, the truth is they probably would have been better wrestlers. But for the next 70 years, what would our relationship been? So it was.
But you had to get that in there. You had to get that in there. They'd be better wrestlers.
They would have been better wrestlers. I'm pretty sure, because my hyper focus is mine, and it's real.
Sure.
And when I'm in that arena, and that's one of my superpowers, that I can morph into that. But walking around on day to day, I'm not in that mode.
That's funny. That's always the balance, is it? Because I go through, right, I've coached my kids, and then this league in basketball, I'm not coaching them. And then I think, why am I not coaching them? Because, you feel like you can go in there and make improvements with your kids.
Right.
So, but I commend you, sir, for realizing that and understanding, hey, I know my lane. I'm going to stay in my lane.
Stay in my lane. I need to be dad at this juncture. And so, yes, there was a lot of breaking up in the house and so forth. So we did not at home, but we always had access to a gym and a mat. So
very cool. Very cool. Okay, well, any last thoughts? Anything you want to? Anybody you want to shout out at Stratford, or anything you can think of as we end our conversation here that you want to say?
Right. Well, no, I want to applaud you, Stratford community. Absolutely, they're great. Love the community and want to be there forever. But yourself, just seeing the podcast, it's very insightful, very purposeful. That's why. Actually, I shook him down. He was walking, and I stopped him as he was walking, like, "Hey, I love the podcast. The insight that you give from expert people that have done it." So once again, people come to this with 20 years, 30 years, whatever of experience, but there's just so many jewels and diamonds that you can pick up from someone that's lived it. And I applaud you for having this podcast.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it, and I learn a lot from everybody. And I like to have a little fun too.
That's right.
We got a stressful gig, superintendent, as you well know. And sometimes we got to just have some fun and let loose, and we can do that and talk about innovation.
That's right. Well, actually, Lisa, Joe Dominguez, my wife, definitely, and then my kids, Mason, Duncan, and Devin. So I appreciate that.
Miss Lisa, did you hear how I got the little shot in? So this will air at some point, right? So did you hear how I got the little shot in? The kids would have been better wrestlers had he coached them. I just want to make sure we cover that.
They had great coaches. They did. But
okay.
The little bit of things that you know about your children are very unique to you.
It'll be real cold up in the panhandle if you're outside, so we probably need to kill it there. Well, Mike, thank you for for joining me, and
absolutely,
it's been great, man. I really appreciate it.
And I appreciate it. Very lovely. Thank you.
Awesome.